All right, good evening. Welcome to the Concord Township Board of Trustees meeting for June 18th, 2025. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Rose, will you please call a roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Lucci.
Present.
Mr. McIntosh.
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present.
Okay, moving on to the approval of minutes.
Madam Chair, move to approve the June 2nd, 2025 regular trustee meeting minutes.
And I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve the June 11th, 2025 special meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to our elected officials reports. We will start with our fiscal officer report, which Mr. Rose will take care of this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. Members of the board, the fiscal officer's report. The fiscal office continues its ongoing efforts to prepare flexible, short, and long-term budgetary planning. Our work is focused on examining the needs of Concord Township over the next 3 to 5 years, while taking into account a handful of longer-term goals as well. The fiscal office is also closely monitoring the potential for any legislative changes that would affect township revenue streams and the collateral effect it would have on our community. And the fiscal office would also like to recognize the work of the zoning director, Heather Freeman, and the service director, Tim Brown, for their relentless pursuit of seeking out funds for township projects outside of Concord Township's direct taxpayer dollars. This month alone, the leadership has secured over $300,000 of funding for Concord Township through various grants, and we appreciate their hard efforts. That concludes the fiscal officer's report.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Rose.
Thank you.
Moving on to our trustees report. Mr. McIntosh.
Madam Chair, been a busy couple weeks. Right after the last trustee meeting, we went to the DC Northeast Ohio regional leaders fly-in. Was a really great couple days of meetings. We had an opportunity to meet with Congressman Joyce's office to talk about our funding request for capital dollars for the fire station, which we've since been told is moving along. So that's good news that request from last year is resurrected and is moving forward. We had the opportunity to sit and listen on some administrative policy updates, and I had an opportunity to join Commissioner Beveridge at the DOT to talk about some of how NOACA works, and I'm his alternate for that. So that was really interesting. Since being back, I've worked with Mr. Rose and Heather Freeman in the zoning department, screening some candidates for that responded to the RFP we sent out for doing a comprehensive plan, and to comment on Heather applied for that grant, and we got a grant to fund for that. So that's nice that we had budgeted some numbers, and she was able to secure a grant that's going to come up with half what we budgeted. So that's great. So we're working through that. I had the opportunity to participate in a subcommittee, geographic subcommittee meeting yesterday for the Lake County 2050, because the county is doing a comp plan. And next week I have a steering committee meeting, so I'll be involved there. Continue to talk with folks about the Ohio property tax initiative that's looking to repeal. I speak with Kyle down at the OTA almost weekly. I know Amy and I are headed to a county officers meeting later this week. I've spoken with our legislators about it, and last week I attended an auditor's press conference on Friday. Our Lake County auditor hosted the Montgomery County auditor and a few others to talk about some of their proposals to the state legislature about addressing some of the property tax concerns. I shared that on my Facebook, and I believe it's also on YouTube. Highly recommend people take the time to watch it because it's full of good information. Had the JED meeting last week. Revenue's up significantly from last year, and I know at the end of last year, Painesville Township's fiscal person had changed over, and the new person, so Rita got together with Doug Lewis, and I ended up participating in a call on that where we were looking at businesses that maybe didn't realize they needed to be withholding that tax. So JED revenue is up significantly this year. If it continues this track, it'd be well over $1 million taken in. Currently, Concord has received $663,000 dollars through June 6th. Painesville, 221, and the JED is about almost $77,000. And so that's really great. We've been working on economic development on the JED board and looking at some incentives for businesses looking to locate here in Concord Township. So active in the JED recruitment. And last week we got to attend our first summer concert, and after a pretty cool spring, it seems like maybe summer's here. Other than the rain, the temperatures are definitely improved. So that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. McIntosh. Mr. Dondorfer.
Yes, I also attended the trip to DC. I thought it was very beneficial. You know, a lot of good policy update by the congressman, and you know, it shows how much work is going into, you know, looking at different financial revenue streams for projects in Concord Township, with our project for Fire Station 2 being one of 15 that were selected for potential funding. We had some good discussions and dialogue with Congressman Joyce's staff, and I feel confident hopefully we'll get to the other side of that, but it was a very beneficial trip. We had a staff meeting at the beginning of the week. A lot going on. Concord Hills Park is going to be resurfaced here in the near future, and with an additional ability to do pickleball as well as tennis courts. So there'll be some closures there. So I would just let our residents know to be patient. We're going to resurface those areas, and then you'll also have pickleball ability there. We did a couple fire department promotions. It was always great to promote our fire staff. Great lieutenant's promotion, and we had some significant and very qualified candidates for firefighter. Very hard to select one, but we did. So congratulations to those two promotions for lieutenant and firefighter. A couple calls I had from some residents regarding some safety concerns that we're going to follow up on. Outside that, the summer concert series was a great kickoff, and we're looking forward to having some good series this summer, and it's great to see our residents out there. So that's all I have.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. Thank you both for going to, and Mr. Rose, heading to DC and speaking with our legislators and working towards beneficial things for Concord Township. I appreciate all the work that you do, Mr. McIntosh, with the county and all the subcommittees, and appreciate all the efforts there. As far as anything to add, I want to thank our law enforcement for keeping the St. Gabe's Fest safe. I know we had some calls on that, so that was very important to hear. Great job to Heather for applying for that Ohio Department of Development grant, which we got, which is great for Concord Township and our comprehensive planning moving forward. Also to Tim for some financial assistance from the OPWC on some road maintenance funding that will be very beneficial to the township. As Mr. McIntosh said, I will be attending the County Township Association meeting where we will talk about property taxes, zoning, development, also the state operating budget, which will be very interesting to hear. I did get some comments from residents from some of the road work that's already been done with favorable results, so that's wonderful. Yes, the concert was great. I want to thank our rec department for putting on a great show. We've got a great summer planned with our community day and all the other events. The fire interviews, the firefighter promotion interviews, always wonderful. It's so hard to pick. We wish we could just promote everyone because it's such a stellar crew. So staff meeting went well. Aside from that, I hope everyone has a great rest of the week. So we will move on to our department reports with Mr. Rose,
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci, members of the board, members of the audience, good evening. I'll start with the few items that are on the agenda. Item A is a resolution to approve the Lake County 911 dispatch plan. I'm sure Mr. McIntosh will be talking about that when it comes up for discussion, as he was intricately involved in the 911 committee. Items B and C are related to fire department personnel on the part-time side. And then item D is a purchase order to Classic Ford Madison in the amount of $45,243 for a new fire department vehicle. And that price is below the state bid price. Classic Ford has historically, both Mentor and Madison, even with our service department pickups, they have historically taken the price below the state bid contract, which we appreciate and works out great for everybody. So other items, earlier today, as you heard, the maple tree on the north side of Owenstone School failed and came down during the storm that rolled through in the early afternoon. I'd like to thank the resident who was in the parking lot. He was working in the community garden when the storm popped up, and he ran to his vehicle for cover, and he saw the tree go onto the building. So he immediately called Concord Township. So we were able to get the service department crew over there right away, and they were able to. We lost a window. The metal roof is damaged and crinkled, and some of the fascias. There's no structural damage, but we're going to need some roof repair, some fascia repair, and we're going to need a whole new window installed. But we were able to button it up. There was just a little bit of water, but luckily none of the artifacts, and there was no damage to the inside of the building. So that is very good news. And then we've contacted our property insurance company, so we're in the process of working through that claim on the storm damage. They did the walkthrough on the Auburn Road Waterline project. There are a few punch list items, but for all intents and purposes, that project is complete. Trax is going through and fixing some of the punch list items to wrap that up in the next week or so. As you've mentioned, I am tracking the community project funding list that's included in the agricultural bill very closely. That's currently in committee with the Appropriations Committee in Congress. We're on the list. I am confident, cautiously optimistic, call it whatever you want, and hoping that the House and the Senate pass the agriculture bill along with the other 11 appropriations bills for FY26. Those have to be passed by the end of September, and I'm sure if they get through, they'll get signed and things will go our way. Coffee with the administrator is still, I've gotten a couple of phone calls because tomorrow is Juneteenth and we're closed, but coffee with the administrator is still set for tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the community center. I look forward to seeing everybody there. The donuts will be fresh, the coffee will be hot. The weather tomorrow looks a little bit spicy, so please keep an eye on our social media pages and our website in the event that we have to cancel the concert due to weather. Sean will be talking with the band Castaways periodically throughout the day as we're watching the radar, but if the weather gets spicy, then we're certainly going to cancel and try to reschedule them for a later date. I couldn't be happier with the efforts of Tim Brown and Heather Freeman in securing those grants. That was fantastic. It's great to get additional funding into the township from other sources, OPWC, Department of Development. So those were great. And that concludes my report. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Rose, and thank you to you for being a big proponent of the federal grant with hopefully the ag bill. So kudos to you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our audience. We have some audience here today. Would anyone like to come up to the podium? Please. Just say your name and your address, please.
Yeah, it's Mackenzie Gardner, and my address is 10676 Prouty Road.
Please.
Okay. Good evening, members of the Concord Township Committee. I appreciate your time and dedication to our community. I'm speaking today to respectfully request an amendment to the current noise ordinance, particularly as it relates to early morning construction noise in residential zones. The request is driven by scientific research, comparative municipal data, and the lived experience of Concord Township residents. As public servants and representatives of our community, I'd like to begin by asking you to reflect on your personal routines. What time do you wake up for work? What time do you wake up on weekends or days off? Would you be comfortable with constant high decibel construction noise beginning at 6:45 or 7 a.m.? This is not just a rhetorical question, but an invitation to empathize with the very real impact noise has on the families you represent, especially in neighborhoods where homes are still unsold and construction is ongoing for months or even years. It's important to note that most businesses, schools, and municipal services do not begin operating until 8 a.m. or later, aligning with when the average resident is expected to begin their day. There is a clear disconnect between standard working hours and the current permissiveness of early morning construction noise, which begins well before many residents are ready to face the day. I would like to play a video clip if I have your permission to do so.
Sure.
Are you ready, babe? So before I play this brief video clip, I'd like to emphasize that what you're about to hear was recorded inside our home with the windows closed during active construction on a neighboring lot. The volume and frequency of this noise are not isolated incidents. They're a daily reality for many Concord Township residents living near ongoing development. My husband has video to play. My whole house was shaking. Now imagine that sound beginning as early as 6:45 a.m. in the morning while you're trying to sleep, raise children, get ready for work, or simply enjoy the home you've worked so hard to afford. To give you a sense of how disruptive this is, my husband, a first responder, could hear this construction noise from 2.5 miles away while on duty. That is not an exaggeration. It's a real measurement of how far this disruption carries in our community. To further illustrate the reach and intensity of the noise, I'd like to share a second brief video clip recorded from a different location within our neighborhood. May. This isn't just a nuisance. This is a legitimate quality of life issue and a health concern. And for a township that holds families and residential living at its core, I believe it's time our noise regulations reflect that priority. Concord Township prides itself on its residential character and scenic appeal. However, unlike incorporated cities, it lacks certain essential services such as a dedicated local police department, city-managed public works, and other municipal amenities typically provided in urban settings. Despite these limitations, Concord Township's property taxes remain competitive and in several cases higher than those in neighboring communities. These are the effective property tax rates of 2024 payable to 2025. My source is the Lake County Auditor tax rate schedules. For ease of conversation, the tax estimates I'll be referencing have been rounded. Concord Township in Menor, 1.6%. Concord Township Painesville, 1.7%. Concord Township Chardon, 1.8%. Painesville Township, 1.6%. Menor City, 1.4%. Kirtland City, 1.5%. And Willoughby City, 1.5%. Concord Township's rates range from 1.6% to 1.8%, depending on school district alignment. Neighboring cities like Menor, Kirtland, and Willoughby all have lower effective rates ranging from 1.4% to 1.5%. These figures raise a fair question. Why are Concord Township residents who already bear higher tax burdens without the benefit of full city services also expected to tolerate excessive noise construction beginning at 7 a.m.? In many of the neighboring cities listed above, construction hours are more thoughtfully restricted, typically not starting before 8 a.m., particularly in residential zones. This standard reflects a community commitment to public health, residential peace, and the reasonable expectations of those investing in these areas. The World Health Organization, known as WHO, and U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, have studied the long-term effects of noise pollution extensively. Here's what the research tells us. Chronic noise exposure increases stress hormone levels such as cortisol and adrenaline. Children exposed to nighttime or early morning noise have impaired cognitive performance, memory problems, and increased risk for behavioral issues. Adults deprived of sleep due to external disturbances experience impaired judgment and focus, weakened immune function, and increased risk of cardiovascular disease. These findings are grounded in peer-reviewed research, including studies published in the Lancet 2014, Noise and Health 2003, and the European Heart Journal of 2018. It's not just about annoyance. Noise is a public health issue, particularly for young families, seniors, and individuals with mental health challenges. Unlike cities with completed infrastructure, Concord Township presents unique hardships for residents who are already living in their homes while surrounding construction continues on adjacent lots. These homeowners are exposed daily to high decibel construction noise early in the morning, often starting at 7 a.m., continuous operation of diesel engines, piercing backup alarms, framing hammers, and concrete saws, all of which frequently exceed 85 decibels, surpassing the EPA's recommended limit for safe prolonged exposure. For families who have already moved into their newly purchased homes, this results in extended periods of sleep disruption, increased stress levels, and a significantly diminished quality of life. The expectation of peace and comfort in their new investment is compromised by ongoing construction activity that shows little consideration for the people already calling the area home. And I'm not alone in feeling this way. In response to the ongoing disturbances, I started a petition to support an amendment to the current noise ordinance, which has already begun gathering signatures from fellow residents and others who are equally impacted and concerned. The response has been clear. People want change. They want responsible protections for their families, their sleep, and their quality of life, especially in a township that promotes itself as a peaceful, family-centered community. Personally, this situation has had a deeply negative effect on the well-being of my family. My 4-year-old daughter's sleep is often interrupted, leaving her irritable, overtired, and less focused during the day. My husband, a first responder, with an already taxing schedule, struggles to rest during his limited time at home due to the constant noise. As for myself, I have experienced heightened stress, anxiety, and fatigue from the relentless early morning disturbances. Our home should be a place of refuge and restoration, yet it has become a source of tension and disruption. This is not how families should have to live. We are not requesting the elimination of construction activity, just a balanced ordinance that protects residents' well-being without significantly burdening builders. Therefore, I respectfully propose the following. Number 1, amending the current ordinance to restrict construction noise between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, prohibiting construction noise above 55 decibels before 8 a.m. in residential zones. 3, requiring a public-facing construction schedule be filed with and made available by the township for developments with more than 5 unsold homes. And 4, requesting that these changes take effect immediately upon approval to protect current residents without further delay. Amending this ordinance is not just about noise. It's about health, dignity, and protecting the investments our residents make in their homes and communities. As trustees of Concord Township, you have the power to set a standard that balances growth with livability. Thank you for your attention. I'd be glad to collaborate further on proposed wording or offer testimony on behalf of impacted residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to discuss any of
Okay, I can start. Thanks for your comments. They were very well put together. As far as the current noise ordinance, I know it's in effect from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., right?
Correct.
Okay.
For construction?
And those recordings you had were all prior to 7 a.m.?
They were at
Any noise.
Any noise?
At 7? I thought you said 6:45.
Sometimes they do start at 6:45.
Okay.
Depending on the day.
Have you ever called the sheriff for enforcement on any of the noise violations?
By the time you call, they're already, it's 7 a.m., so they can.
Yeah, but if well, I know just from working there, we've done enforcement. If it started at 7 and we got a call at 6:45, and it's obvious that they've been out there, even though it's after 7 o'clock, they've been out there. You can tell they've been out there for a period of time because you called. They can cite those people.
Okay.
And take enforcement action. That's, and just to explain to you a little bit about the township. I mean, the township is contracted with the sheriff's office for law enforcement for forever. Just because in a township, it's much more challenging to fund your own police department. We have our own fire department, but it's much more feasible, and we get more bang for our buck law enforcement wise by contracting out with the sheriff's department. But I sympathize with you. Okay, I live in Concord too, and I live like right behind Lowe's and Bed Bath & Beyond, right on the Menor border. And you got those garbage companies that come in early in the morning, like at 5:30, 6 o'clock, that are making noise, and there's other business noise going on. And I've called too in the past because I have kids too that were young, and I do sympathize with you. you're proposing an 8 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll consider all your comments, and we'll digest those and have some discussion. But I will tell you that the sheriff will respond on those calls, and even though you might call at 7 o'clock and you tell them, like, listen, this has been going on at 6:45, or you call at 6:45, if they don't get there till 7, they know that you've called and that noise has been going on prior to the 7 a.m. start, so they can issue a citation and summons them and have them fined.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate your concern for the well-being of the community as well as your family. We did just have a discussion regarding the noise ordinance, and we're considering making some adjustments. We did hear from residents who were against what we thought might be a little bit lesser time for those morning hours. You know, we heard from builders, we heard from people in construction, we pretty much heard that they liked it the way it was. So this is the first that we're hearing, that I'm hearing, that there's an issue with construction other than the initial complaints that we had. Did they measure the decibel? Like, how did you know that it was 85 decibels?
Well, that's just what the research shows when it comes down to what construction noise, those, whatever bulldozers and, machinery that they're using, those all exceed, just by research that, they have proven that those machines and any of those framing, the concrete saws, all that noise is above 85.
But it wasn't actually measured.
No,
You were
it was
just
not
going by what typically that's what it would amount to,
Right.
given that kind of construction going on. Okay. Like Mr. Dondorfer said, yes, if it's before the 7 o'clock, you have every right to call the sheriff, who can come out and take a look. I think rather than considering the sheriff's, not having our own police department, it's not a limitation. We actually are very lucky to have a contract with the sheriff's department, who do a tremendous job. So don't think that that's a limitation at all. And in terms of, property tax rates, I know there's a big push right now with, property taxes, but Concord actually is in the bottom in terms of other townships in the county.
Yeah, in terms of property tax, but cities and villages collect income tax, we don't, so it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
Property tax is one part of the tax structure that feeds everything, so.
But I see what you're saying. You're saying, we pay a lot of money to live here. It's beautiful. We have young families. We want to be able to sleep in, have our kids have a good night's sleep before they get up and go for. We understand that. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, just to expand, we had worked on this issue the end of last year into early this year, and we did have, when it was up for voting, we had a number of residents come in, and we didn't unfortunately have anybody from your side of the argument. We had nothing but people that said, we live in a township, which most people that live out, a lot of people out here live out here prefer limited government. So it was, don't fix what's not broken. And so that all of the testimony we received and feedback was negative as to some of those changes. You absolutely have my sympathy, because I had a house being built next to me, and on a Sunday morning for 8 hours, I share your concerns. I had some noise. It was only a day, but sure enough, you hear people walking outside your bedroom window talking, and at 7 o'clock they're tapping the roof and framing and all that. So I have experienced exactly that. So you have my sympathy there. I think it's something that we could take a look. We have fresh work. It's something we could reconsider. The construction thing is an issue in a growing community, but it's yeah. So what was your address again on product?
10676 Crowley Road. And again, it's just asking for that additional hour.
So,
trying to be reasonable.
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay, so you're where the new
You're where the new
development's
development-
going
She's
in.
directly across from Blackmore Estates
Yeah, okay.
Road, where they're
Okay.
cutting
Is
it
that
in.
Dawson
Yeah.
Street?
Yeah, that's the new one going in.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
literally directly across.
And
Are you
that's
next to Webster's? The Webster's, is that right?
No, they're a couple doors down.
And there's how many houses going in there? About
18.
18.
Yeah.
Okay, which
Well,
is
they're doing the infrastructure now, which is the
Yeah,
It's
this
where all
is-
the noise is,
Yeah, this
yeah.
is the noisiest part.
yeah,
big noise.
Yeah. Okay.
And even if, with hold down until 8 a.m., they can maybe start on something else until, those high decibel times, and then hit that, at 8, but not 7 o'clock in the morning. It's just
And again, I sympathize with you. You know, your husband's a first responder. I've been a first responder for 32 years. I know how it is, man. You try to sleep during the day or do shift work, and you know, get your sleep and see your family. So we get it. We'll definitely consider your points and have some debate on it.
Madam Chair, if it's all right, I'll talk to Mrs. Gardner when we're completed with the meeting. I can exchange some additional information, and maybe we'll come up with a proposal for your consideration as a starting point for discussion.
And I don't know, maybe we can even potentially reach out to the developer.
Well,
Yeah, right.
You need to put your contractors or people on notice that, you know, they need to start it right now, 7 o'clock, and not before.
I looked it up just to see if those homes were already sold. I could understand, you know, if they had homes, if they were trying to complete something because people have already previously purchased those homes, but they're not even up for sale yet.
They're not. Yeah,
Right, 'cause they
they're
haven't
still
started, right.
they're still cutting in the road and putting in the utilities. They're not ready to build the houses quite
Right.
yet.
Right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
appreciate your comments.
Well,
Thank
yeah,
you.
good work, good research, and thank you for coming up. We appreciate that.
Great presentation.
Yes. Anyone else in the audience? Yes, sir.
Franco 10196 page. I'm here just basically to thank you guys. I think you guys do a great job as trustees and fiscal officer and administrator. My biggest concern is speed on our street. Since it's been repaved last year, the speed has increased tremendously. We can't even walk without, you know, it's 25, they put the new sign up.
Still?
No, because they're coming off of Viewmont, 35, 40, 45, because downhill. They cut through Page, you get to Morley, and then Morley's 40. So it just seems like nobody drives 25. I mean, we're telling, and they're going faster. They're walking with their dog and getting off the road just to be safe. And it's just concerning, that's all. And I know there's no sidewalks. I know we don't have police here. The sheriff comes down once or twice, but they just drive down, and they're not going 25. So I don't know if people just used to driving faster in Concord, in townships. I work in Newberry. I understand nobody goes 25. So it just, that's all. I just want, is there any way to get the grants or a grant available, speaking of grants, for signs, know your speed, or what is your speed? I know some townships or cities have them. I know there was grants available for stop signs that flash.
Right.
I know there were problems areas with intersections. And then, but yeah, so those are our concerns on Page. I also like to talk about zoning. I think Heather is phenomenal. She has helped me with 2 zoning permit requests, and it's been great. She's easy to talk to. She's very knowledgeable, and just want to let you guys know about her.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Great to meet you. I know we've kind
Yeah,
of corresponded, so wonderful. So you do have the new sign, right? The new sign is
Yes.
there. And was the speed trailer ever down there, or that was broken at the time?
We're trying to get that fixed. We're waiting on a part.
We're waiting on a part.
To get it.
I think it came in. I'll check with Lieutenant Musla, but it's funny. He talks about those are called driver feedback signs. I know what you're talking about. I have paperwork on my desk. Mr. Brown and I are reviewing those because we want the solar powered ones so that we don't have to run electricity to them.
Those are permanent, right?
Those are permanent.
Which-
they're put in, and they flash when you go. You know, they're
Yeah.
great reminders, and there are statistics out there from law enforcement that say they do a good job. We're actually investigating that. We just got pricing on. You buy them in pairs so that you got one for each direction, and we're looking at 2 or 3 different locations within the township. We're talking about putting those in. I just got pricing on those last week. So we're talking about installing those on some township roads, not county roads.
Okay.
Right.
Which page?
Page.
Yes, we're
Township, yep.
and I talked to Captain Patterson prior to his retirement.
But in the meantime, I'll call the sheriff's office. We'll get some targeted traffic enforcement. Some guys running radar out there.
I don't know if they do.
Well,
I don't know,
if we make a special request, they'll get out there and do it.
because they would make a ton of money. As long as they don't give them a pass, you know?
Right.
I mean, they can sit.
That's not
Next
our
to-
interest for the record.
Right?
I wish.
No, but
That money ticket money doesn't come to the town.
I know, but it's
It goes
revenue
to the
generated,
engineer's office.
Yeah.
I
and
get it.
it's It would maybe slow people down.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
I
we'll
think if we
definitely
can
do
get
that.
them out there.
Yeah, we'll get them out there. I'll make a call tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get them out there, and then we'll get
We
some
are looking
speed
to
trailer
grab
activity
feedback
out there.
signs and
Yeah.
looking to place them in certain locations.
Yep.
There's another hot spot not near you that we've been working on for a while, and we think that's another good candidate for.
And it seems like the younger the driver, the faster they go.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's
Absolutely.
just,
They're in a hurry.
You know, and there's
yeah.
Statistic.
I was
is-
nervous with the school kids across the street next to me getting on and off the bus.
Yeah.
And it just, I
That's
worked
why
the
young boys are always
room.
hardest
Yeah.
to insure.
Right.
My background is surgery and orthopedics, and you hate to see pediatrics,
Here we
you know,
go.
so it just,
Okay.
We'll
Yeah.
work on it. We'll get somebody out there.
just, all right, thank you
Appreciate it.
guys.
Thanks for
Yeah.
letting us know. and giving
Again,
us a
thank
heads
you
up.
for your concern and for coming. We appreciate our audience participation.
I mean,
It was great.
so seldom we get people to come in,
Right?
and then we get two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
good.
This is great.
So basically, the trust room, and there would be 10 people, like always speaking, and always complaining about the trustees.
That's okay. We can take it.
Not enough people come in, I think,
Participate.
I'm
Oh,
waiting,
yeah.
I'm waiting for that complaint, by the way. So we did Little Mountain Road, right, which is behind me.
Yeah.
Right.
I walk on there. that road was horrendous.
Yeah.
And then
That
we
was
go ahead and
surface
fix
of
the
the
road. I haven't walked on it since it's been redone, but I just have a seeking suspicion.
Well, that's who called because they're so happy that road is
Done.
done. Like they're so happy over there. But yeah, be
I'm
careful what
just
you
waiting
ask
for
for.
calls about speeding.
But thank you
It
both.
always follows that whenever we fix the bad roads. So
Yeah.
thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you both.
Okay, moving into old business. Seeing there is none, we will move to new business.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve the May financial report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, you left this one for me. So
Yes.
Appropriate. I move to approve Resolution 2025-12, the resolution approving the Lake County final plan as recommended by the Lake County 911 Program Review Committee pursuant to Chapter 128 of the Ohio Revised Code.
And I will second that.
And discussion.
This was a challenging conversation. A lot of work went into it. We're a bit under the gun. I know Lake County is the only county at this point that hasn't adopted a next gen plan. We were late starting it, and so we're hurrying up to get this done. What has basically happened is the board agreed with all of the state standards, and we had some supplemental things we thought were appropriate to Lake County. We added them into our plan, and so we're looking to get this adopted. The legal entities, councils, villages, trustees all need to approve it, and I think our work will continue because we have a plan from 1988 and a new document that are together comprising the plan. So we've talked about reconvening and getting that together. It's a higher standard of technology, it's a higher standard of training, and it's an increase in staffing requirement. The idea of the committee is that we want to see the same level of service from one end of the county to the other, and so we felt that adopting those higher standards was the appropriate thing to put into the plan and recommend. I know Carl's worked in law enforcement for a few years. You've probably got some thoughts on it as well.
Yeah, it's moving from emergency 911 to next gen 911 is going to be very substantial. You're going from traditional landline or LAN locators, and you're going into geofencing and GPS coordinates, and it's a significant change. But we're looking at Morgan did a phenomenal job on this committee because this is a big change, and a lot of chiefs are used to doing things certain ways, and there's so many public safety answering points in Lake County, and there's discussion back and forth on keeping all those PSAPs or consolidating and collectively, maybe other users going on other people's PSAPs to consolidate somewhat. But it's a large endeavor, and I give Morgan a lot of credit. He did a great bit of work in a small period of time with the other people on the board. But we do have a plan, and hopefully moving forward, we'll be in good shape.
I'd like to add one thing. I think right now, just so people in Lake County know, that your traditional landline is answered by wherever you reside in Concord, the county would answer it. If you were to call here from a cell phone, the county would answer it. If you were anywhere in the county and you call from a cell phone, regardless of if you're in Mentor where they have their own answering point, the county answers it. So this plan will change where every community, to Carl's point, will be geo-referenced. So you'll get straight to that dispatch center, which is quicker because right now, if the 911 mobile call goes to the county, they transfer it to Wickliffe or Willowick or Mentor or Willoughby. So there's that time. And then the new dispatcher has to take it up and work with it. So you're going to be getting a faster response, and the dispatcher handling it is going to be at that higher next gen 911 standard, which in the future is going to include the ability to text and do video and all of those things. And there eventually will bring on technology that makes their job easier as far as auto responses and stuff. It's crazy the things that are coming. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when the call comes in now, you know, like Morgan said, if it's a landline, it comes in on your address on the box at Central Dispatch, wherever it is. But now with Next Gen 911, you know, which is going to require robust wireless connectivity. But if you call in and you don't know where you're at, and you're in an accident or you have a medical emergency, it's coming up in latitude and longitude, and your coordinates are mapped right there for the dispatcher and says, this is where you're at, and you're getting quicker service. So it's amazing.
And the things that the software that they can add to it if they want, all kinds of Google or stuff that'll send the pictures of what's happening and what the street looks like. It's crazy, but step forward for Lake County.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate your work. I know your focus is on safety, and you have somewhat of a law enforcement background yourself, so great addition to that committee. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will make a motion to approve Fire Department conditional offer of employment as a part-time firefighter, EMT basic, to Daniel Zedravev, pending completion of new hire paperwork.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to approve the appointment of part-time firefighter paramedic Dylan Hemley to the position of firefighter 1 effective June 15th, 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve Fire Department PO to Classic Ford Madison in the amount of $45,243 for the purchase of a 2025 Ford Explorer.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Rose, will you please read the future meetings and announcements?
Yes, ma'am. June 19th, Township will be closed in observance of Juneteenth Day. On July 1st at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall will be the Zoning Commission meeting. On July 2nd, from 5 to 6 p.m. will be trustee office hours in the conference room, and at 6 p.m. will be the trustee meeting here at Town Hall.
That concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Concord. Good evening.